edition of the BRIC event, BRICS Infrastructure Investments. I'm Olga Hausinger, an audit director, a board member of the Luxembourg-Russian Business Chamber, and one of the organizers of the event. I will be hosting the event tonight.
Luxembourg is a AAA country, a second-to-none fintech and logistic player. As such, Luxembourg should have a major interest and role integrating the flow of financial and logistic data, supporting the physical exchange of goods and services among BRIC countries.
You cannot ignore 1.3 billion people. You cannot ignore an expected growth rate of 7.4%. And you cannot ignore a market of $5 trillion by 2025. You cannot ignore. And that India also needs to look up at Luxembourg as an essential gateway to Europe.
It's a special evening again because it's the third time for BRICS organization, and as you know, China is all over the place. We tried within our chamber to focus already since last year on what's happening in China, outbound China, inbound Europe, Asia, and Africa, especially in respect of infrastructure.
LPA stands for Luxembourg Private Equity and Venture Capital Association. We do have about 160 members today, among which quite a number of notable infrastructure players, and quite big at that.
Ladies and gentlemen, no doubt it's common sense that the world changes, and so are we. Many changes were triggered through the competition between economies and by breaking up old structures and tearing down walls and fences. Luxembourg is much more than just a financial center. It is a breeding ground for innovation and technology with a skilled multilingual labor force, and as a European capital in close proximity to institutions of the European Union. There are many opportunities in Luxembourg, and we are open and honored to discuss them.
$6 trillion. You are probably wondering what this figure represents. The UN says this is the amount we must invest in infrastructure every year to reach our growth and development goals globally. We strongly believe that the future of finance is green, and the future is now. Are you ready?
In 2001, the Goldman Sachs analyst Jim O'Neill coined the term BRIC, mostly as an investment meme, when he argued that the size and rate of growth of the Brazilian, Russian, Indian and Chinese economies meant that they would come to dominate the world economy by 2050. This leaves us today with an interesting situation where there is still a huge and often untapped potential for infrastructure investments in at least 4 of the 5 BRIC member countries.
We intervene in a different kind of way. For example, in the BRICS country, just like as well in China and Brazil, most of our lending goes to the government because what they want is really to sustain the infrastructure, which is really government driven. So big ticket comes to us.
We do business not only in China but also around the 15 countries in the world. So, but no matter where we are, we always focus on clean energy. For example, we have hydropower dams in Brazil, in Pakistan. We have onshore and offshore wind farm in Germany, in UK, in Poland. We also operate solar power in Greece.
Very good to see that the persons who initiated these investments, they acknowledge that they start small, so substance point of view. So if you just start small, you need to be a bit careful about substance. not to have too heavy costs, but when the business grows, the substance gets stronger and stronger. And this is a really good sign. This is what you mentioned. I think now headquarters are fully established. Employee number is growing. This is something which I must say is a good sign to see, especially from the Chinese investors.
Especially the last 4 or 5 years, where we've seen a significant increase in inbound investment from China towards Europe, and also using Luxembourg as a platform. And I share your, indeed, the interest in the political landscape and the stability that Luxembourg offers is a key stepping stone for that investment. There's always competition, but I think Luxembourg positioned itself very high up on the agenda, and the ratings of our clients, and I think the stability we offer, language skills. There are people from any country in the world that are actually residing in Luxembourg, so it's very easy to do business once you can speak the mother tongue.
You have mandatorily to be associated with a Brazilian state company. Brazil is withdrawing a little bit from this kind of vision, and they want as less state intervention as possible on the fuel market. It includes for financing as well. From now, Brazil allowed investment funds to take part of the bidding procedures alongside with the operating companies. So Luxembourg can play a very important role, not only on the bonds market that's going to raise, but also on the private financing part of these projects, on which the state is not going to put its hand so far.
Luxembourg is, as a financial center, a very serious actress, a very trustworthy partner to go abroad.
I hope that you have enjoyed the event. We thank the panelists, we thank the moderator, we thank the speakers, the presidents, we thank all of you for being here. Good, thank you. And then thank you for being here, and then we can go and enjoy the food of BRIC chambers.